What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Chucky from Shook Earth Media, and today we are looking at Season 11, Episode 15 of The Walking Dead. This is the last episode before the finale of Part 2 of 3 of The Walking Dead, so basically the final finale before the series finale. So we're leading into a big episode next week, expecting big things. I would say probably a shocking death and a big reveal of some kind are in order, but we will see. I'm half expecting the Dwight death comic moment in next week's episode, but we will see when it comes out. So we're talking about this episode this week, and it's mostly a drama episode. Lots of one-on-one conversations going on here, progressing the storyline. We're building up Lance here, Hornsby as a villain. I'm really liking his addition from the comic. He was not in the comic, but he's one of the more interesting characters so far in this story arc. So I like his storyline here is good too. I like how he's playing both sides. He's got the appearance of somebody who's got everybody's best interest at heart, but at the end of the day, he has his own agenda, and we will see how dark it is. Of course, knowing what happened at this apartment, it's dark enough as it is, but he's seems like a guy who's going to try to grip onto power soon. We're building up, maybe he's leading a coup or something. We'll see, but this is me speculating on what's going to happen next. Suffice it to say, I like his character in this episode. He spends most of it investigating what happened here at the apartment building, and he thinks he knows that Maggie was there, of course, because Maggie was there. And it's an interesting part of the episode. I like this scene here with Gabriel and Aaron, where they you can't see Aaron right now, but they basically just come up with a lie about it, and Hornsby sees right through it, but they stick to their guns. It's kind of a comedic moment. So I really like that scene. I think it's funny, and Daryl, of course, is on their side. I like how this episode, Daryl doesn't really fit in with the soldiers. It's not really working out for him, and he kind of he eschews wearing the helmets. He's not really fitting in there, and he does some things in this episode we'll get to later that I feel like it's clear the Commonwealth won't see him as on their side. But yeah, we get a scene with Mercer and Princess, and I like this first scene here. It's humorous, and it's a nice little like relationship. It's from the comic, so this is all good here. And honestly, it's kind of weird we don't have more scenes like this in the series, especially like earlier on compared to the comic series for sure. But yeah, no, this scene was welcome for sure. Princess has kind of grown on me. Mercer's an interesting guy, and they're really trying to build up with this episode, especially the later scene. They're trying to build up his internal struggle and how he is going to end up rebelling against the Commonwealth in a way, or at least that's what he does in the comic series. So they're really most of his scenes in this episode are to that end. So the scene it's sweet to start with, and then it has like an icy ending, and then it's reconciled later. And this is a nice scene here with we got Connie doing the journalist thing, and Rosita's telling the story of what happened in last week's episode with the house. And I like that that's going somewhere, and we're building up. This episode's a lot of building up and a lot of talking about feelings and stuff. So I mean, it's Walking Dead is a drama first and foremost. So these episodes can be some of the best, But so this episode, I would say, has a lot of great episodes or scenes rather, and a few scenes towards the end that I wasn't so much big on. But in terms of broad strokes, my opinion on the episode, it's a good episode. It's a solid drama episode, a talky episode leading up to a big finale. Like all this works for me. I really like Ezekiel and Carol this episode. He's really thankful about it. Ezekiel wants to rekindle their relationship, but that doesn't really end up happening, and Carol doesn't really want to do that. But it's really I like their scenes together, and they always have an interesting dynamic. And we have this scene where of course, now Lance suspects Gabriel and Aaron and Daryl as well, presumably, of lying to him. And so while they're marching, they kill a bunch of zombies. This is the obligatory zombie scene of the episode, but I kind of forgot about it. I was like, yeah, this episode doesn't have many zombies in it, but that's not a complaint. It's just like that is actually a good thing for the story and this sake. So I like this scene too. So all this is good. We're building up the suspicion. So the another big part of the episode is we got this hospital arc, doctor medical drama arc with Yumiko's brother and Ezekiel, and Carol's eventually brought in as well, where they're trying to save somebody outside of the hospital system who can't afford the procedure. So they steal some supplies and they do their thing. And I like this part of the episode as well. And previously I'd stated that Yumiko's brother character was somebody that it was like hard to relate to him at the start, because he comes in and he's a doctor, he has all this training and skills, and he's just deciding to work at a bakery just because he doesn't want to be a doctor, and we didn't get a great reason for why. And I was just like, what is he, like, lazy? I don't know, it's kind of hard to like really attach to him when you don't understand that part of it. So but here, he's a much more sympathetic character, and I feel like we could have kind of axed that whole storyline before and just had him be a doctor from the start. But I like this episode, this arc with him. He's struggling with a patient that he lost right now, the actor's really good. He gets nervous later when they get caught, and the performances are good. So I like this storyline, and it's kind of like what I mentioned earlier about Ezekiel, wanting to help people and stuff like that, and seeing somebody else who was harmed by the system and trying to help them out. So I like all that. And here's a funny scene. We got Eugene again using the food trick. He's the delivery boy because he wants to talk to Max here and tell her the story about what's going on with Sebastian and the whole, how sending people after money in the safe thing. And again, just a lot of this episode is just setting up how that story is going to trail into a conflict later. And I like the setup, and that was a fun scene. And then they get caught, and it's an awkward situation. Again, some decent humor in this episode. And then this is the climactic scene that we got to flash forward to in the premiere of part 2, where they did a flash forward. We get Daryl coming forward, taking his helmet off, and asking for Maggie's help. Now, with the way it was cut in that episode originally, it made it look like Maggie wasn't going to play ball, but she actually, in the scene, ends up opening the doors. And, ultimately, I don't know that it was the right decision for her to do that, especially if she had already decided, no Commonwealth or anything. But it was, I like the tension in this investigation part of the storyline, so it works for me. And now I really like the scene between Max and Mercer, and they have I like that, the whole Stephanie is also Mercer's sister thing, because it gives you a scene like this where Mercer explains his predicament, that he can't really face insubordination charges if he's going to stand up to Sebastian and tell the truth about what happened and what kind of things he's doing, that would be going against the Miltons, and he wouldn't be able to help run this place anymore. So just dealing with his dilemma and setting all of that up, I really like this scene, and the acting is great. And there's a poster of him in the background, a propaganda poster that they reference in the scene, and I like that too. Again, some of the writing is a little like direct, but I like the ideas we're going for generally, and the characters and the acting, it's all really good. So, and then the scene where they get caught with the supplies, I kind of like how they do it, where they have like a jump scare last minute with one of the stormtroopers, and they drop their stuff. They looking as sketchy as humanly possible. Now, this part of the episode I'm not sure about. Actually, we come back to it a little bit later. This scene with Lance and the vehicle. Of course, we know the vehicle was there at the apartment building, and they made it look like it doesn't run. And Hornsby thinks he can fix it, and then he starts the car, and it's like, it's basically an if the glove doesn't fit, don't or quit, or however that goes. It's one of those moments where it's a moment of truth thing. He's looking for proof that they were there, and he does find it. But I like this scene. It's got a lot of tension, and it all works for me. And I like how it pays off at the end. We'll get back to that in a second. So the next scene is, of course, Ezekiel, Yumiko's brother, and Carol coming in to save them. It's a little convenient, but it makes sense. We have the Carol set up with Hornsby and all that, and she's working to try to get more influence. So it works just fine. And then they of course get immediately caught, and then they're arrested, and then Carol breaks them out. But the confusing thing to me is they get the hospital supplies that they stole back. So I don't know about that part. But I like the dynamic between Ezekiel and Carol, of course. And they have it marked as a veterinary clinic, and they go over there, and then we're gonna come back to like a surgery scene, and all that stuff works well. This scene didn't really work for me, but your mileage is gonna vary. It's just this big like heart to heart. He's like, I'm sorry, I said to you earlier. And then she's like, I can handle serious stuff and things. Rick Grimes, I can handle the serious things. And then they try to and then he just reveals like, oh yeah, I killed two of my guys. I'm just gonna admit it in this open hallway, and if somebody walks by, that's okay. I guess, even though I'm famous and everybody knows me. But anyways, yeah. So I don't know. This scene, it didn't work for me. It was like a little too long, and I'm just gonna say like the score these days is like they're trying to crank it up way too much. Like everything has to be this really intense moment. And sometimes I really feel like it should just like dial it back a little bit and do something a little simpler, especially an episode like this. Like the zombie scene, like the zombie scene, which was very low stakes compared to where we are in the franchise. Having this really ramped up music, it just feels like way over the top. So, but yeah, that's just something I was thinking of in this scene. But yeah, I mean, I like the ideas here. It just like it could have worked out a different way. But I like this Herschel Lance moment where Herschel lost his hat at the place, and Lance brings it out, puts it on. It's like, hey, it fits. So he knows the truth, but of course he knows that that's not proof. And this leads to a standoff situation with Maggie. I don't really know what she thinks she's doing here, because I mean, she's aware that this is like suicide if she pulls this trigger and all that, and she's got her kid here too, and her kid's probably might not even make it out. So I don't know why. I mean, I get the sentiment. She's like, nobody threatens, don't talk to me or my son ever again, literally the meme, and she's not about it. And this is the other thing, is like Daryl has a gun pointed at Lance threateningly, and yet he's still like allowed to travel with the Commonwealth. If to me, it's like, if you do that, you're out of the community. I mean, that's like illegal, right? So yeah, I don't know why he's just able to travel with them after, you know. But this is like the one of the final scenes with Ezekiel and Carol. It's a nice scene. I'm trying to get the little fireside scene, but we can skip that. Yeah, I like this, a scene with Daryl or Ezekiel and Carol, not Daryl and Carol. Their names rhyme. And then we get the, hospital scene, and the episode Insider at the end, they said the director of this episode used to be in ER. So, she used to be in ER, and now she's directing a scene like this and knows how it looks based on her experience on that show. So that was a nice little tidbit, fun little trivia. So, in general, I like this episode. They managed to save the person, and it's all good. That storyline. I like the doctor guy now, so that works for me. This scene here was like, it's like what I was talking about earlier with Ezekiel and the whole like adding the fake Stephanie thing. We're just at the point where they're in a relationship now, and it just feels like we took the long road away to the same place. So, again, like the same thing with the doctor. Like we could have just had him be a doctor right away and just we could have seen, him get mistreated or deal with the terrible situation. We'd have sympathy for him instead of just like, oh, I don't want to be a doctor. And then with this, it's like we could have been building the relationship between these two this whole time instead of doing the whole fake Stephanie thing and the investigation thing. I did like the investigation episode, so I like this when they do investigation episodes in Walking Dead, like the Fear episode with John Dory doing the investigator thing. Those are really cool episodes. So yeah, I don't know. I'm of course waffling a bit, but yeah, in general, I feel like we could have been building up this relationship all part two instead of, only just now kind of getting to it. But yeah, and then we get Leia in here, and they found her campsite somehow, which like the likelihood of that I feel like is fairly low, especially if she's being cautious and not using like fires that can be seen from really far distance. So, but okay, let's assume they found it, sure. And then he has a job to offer her. So I'm assuming we're going to find a way to make her the big bad in the next episode. And, fair enough. So I'm really curious to see about the finale next week. It should be a big episode. If they're doing it right, to my estimation, it's glitching out again, but we're done reviewing the episode. So yeah, that's my opinion on this episode, guys. Next week should be a big episode, and I'm looking forward to it, really. So I'm expecting a big death and a big reveal, and I expect that we'll be done with Leia's probably going to get taken out. Lance, I don't think Lance is going to be taken out just yet. He's a little too interesting to get taken out of the picture right now. I think he's going to last in part 3. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if they tie in the Rebel storyline into the next episode, if any of that happens. So I'm really curious about it. I do think that Dwight death thing is a potential for next week, but of course it won't be Dwight's death. It'll be somebody else. A lot of people might say maybe Daryl, but we got the spinoff, but maybe that's just a red herring. So there's all these theories about it. It's going to be fun. We're going to cover it next week. It's going to be a bigger episode, so beware of spoilers. I will probably spoil the episode in the title, so be careful. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. I would love to hear from you. Keep it locked on Shook Earth Media. Hit the sub button if you want to see more Walking Dead content. We will continue to review it. And Fear the Walking Dead when it comes back and all the spinoffs and stuff. Keep it right here on Shook Earth Media. And hit the like if you like, and I hope to hear from you down below. And with that, it's been your boy Shuggy, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching, everybody. Peace out.